That's right, folks. The drama is finally over. Kevin Durant came to a conclusion with Nets ownership that he will, in fact, return to the Brooklyn Nets for this upcoming season. So I'm going to break down how that impacts the rest of the moves the Raptors will have to make, as there's been a lot of stuff that's been blocked up in hopes of potentially acquiring this Brooklyn Nets superstar. Additionally, Draymond Green, former Kevin Durant teammate, came out and called out the newest Toronto Raptor in a Rico Hines run. So I'm going to break down what he had to say and a whole bunch more in this video. So without further ado, let's dive straight into it. Hello everybody, Ben Rogers here with the Raptors Guide, just breaking down the latest Toronto Raptors news, and I've been plugging for you guys to subscribe our channel for, the past few weeks now. We hit our milestone 25,000 subscribers, but now, definitely hit the subscribe button if you're not subscribed, but we've launched a new channel under the Digest Media umbrella. That's right, Jays fans. If you're a fan of the Toronto Blue Jays, a fan of Toronto sports, or fan of just this style of content, you want some more, definitely go over to Blue Jays Digest. They just released their first video. A new one's likely coming out tonight or tomorrow morning. And, they're going to give the best coverage of the Blue Jays on the YouTube scene. So definitely get in early, hit the subscribe button over there. I'm going to leave a comment in this video. You can check out their channel and show some love to Pete and Nick, because they got some fire content coming. So excited about that launch, but we're also excited about the news that has dropped today, as the Kevin Durant trade drama is finally over. That's right, folks. I'll play it one last time. The quest for KD. It was especially fun for the first couple weeks of the offseason. Then it became very repetitive, very redundant, and I was bamboozled. I did think that Kevin Durant would inevitably get traded solely off the fact that his relationship with the owner seemed tarnished, and usually when the owner and a superstar, two big egos collide, it's hard to mend those fences, but the fences seem to have been mended, as it came out from today, according to Shams of The Athletic, that Steve Nash, obviously head coach of the Brooklyn Nets, Joe Tsai, owner of the Nets, and Sean Marks, the Brooklyn Nets general manager, all met with Kevin Durant and Rich Kleiman in Los Angeles on Monday, and they have decided to move forward with partnership, the Nets say. So apparently everything is all good. They're heading back into the offseason, even though Kevin Durant came out and said, I want Steve Nash and Sean Marks fired. I want two guys out of the system, or else I'm not coming back. He said he doesn't like the culture. He doesn't like the direction that the Brooklyn Nets have been going in and all that sort of stuff, even though he was one to sort of build it up and get it going. And I'm surprised, to say the least. Usually how these things work out is the superstar requests a trade, they pout about it, and then, they fight their way out. But to be fair, to give credit to the Brooklyn Nets, they continued to hold strong. They didn't give in to any trades, and they built a roster that does look better than their team last season, bringing in TJ Warren, bringing in a couple guys, Royce O'Neal. So the Nets, give them credit. They did do what they had to do, and they probably maximized their chances of winning for this upcoming season. We'll see how that plays out, as the season goes along. I'm still not a big fan of that Brooklyn Nets roster. There's still a lot of injury concerns, but this isn't about the Brooklyn Nets. This is about the Toronto Raptors, because obviously the Toronto Raptors are one of the favorites to potentially land Kevin Durant if he were to be traded, and there's been a lot of moves that have been held up, just waiting for a KD deal to go down. The first one is obviously the signing of Christian Koloko. Raptors' second-round pick, this 7-footer who looks absolutely on fire during these Rico Hines runs, showed out pretty well during the Summer League. He'll likely get his contract now in the coming days, assuming there's no other moves to be made. And, there was a lot of question marks. And I brought this up in a previous video about the deep bench drama that's been going on. Obviously, you're only allowed 20 roster spots entering training camp. You're only allowed 20 guys to be brought in on your team entering training camp. So a lot of Raptors fans sort of speculated because of the fact that Jalen Harris, we tendered his offer so he can be a restricted free agent for our current team. Jared Culver, he's a guy that, Scottie Barnes thought was pretty well signed to this team, right? He thought he was on the squad. He's been running with the Raptors team down in Rico Hines with the Raptors gear, Raptors shorts. Scottie came on a live stream and even said, didn't this guy get a contract with us, right? He said, or didn't this guy get a contract in context with, him being on the team? So, essentially, if you include our full roster, assuming Christian Koloko will get signed, which is pretty well guaranteed, you can lock that in for sure. We also have Jalen Harris and Jarrett Culver, who are in the potential 21st and 22nd position to joining the squad. And there's also Gabe Brown, who signed a late team-term deal. I'll dive into him a little bit later in this video. But there's a lot of spots that could potentially be filled, and they can't all be sort of brought in with just Svi Mykhailiuk being waived. So what are the Toronto Raptors going to do, right? Maybe they were brought in as fail-safes just in case a KD deal didn't go down, just in case a big blockbuster move didn't end up happening for the Raptors. But now that KD is sort of off the table, I could see the other dominoes starting to fall. I thought DeAndre Ayton would be a bigger domino earlier in the season, but obviously the Nets held strong to not trade Durant at that point. But with KD off the market now, Donovan Mitchell sort of becomes that star prize, and I think the Utah Jazz are more willing to get rid of him given the direction of their team currently as built. So I don't imagine that team competing without the defense of Rudy Gobert, given the fact they aren't a very strong defensive team regardless. So I could see a Donovan Mitchell deal happening, and then all the stuff that's on the side, all the moves. I think we saw Langston Galloway come out and say all these minor free agents are waiting to sign, waiting for the Kevin Durant drama to pass by in order to make their signings. I'm sure a few minor trades may happen now that the big fish are sort of fallen off the table at least. We'll see what happens with Donovan Mitchell. The Raptors were rumored to get Donovan Mitchell, but I don't think we're going to acquire him from the Utah Jazz. Their asking price is astronomical as well, and he's not the perfect fit for this team. But if any rumors comes out on that front, we'll see. But I wouldn't be surprised if the Raptors sort of shed these deep bench roster players to maybe fill a spot for Jarrett Culver for Jalen Harris maybe, but Jalen Harris less so, but we'll see what ends up happening. It's a lot of speculation, a lot of question marks at this point, but KD's going back to the Nets. The quest is officially over, at least till drama spikes up again probably in the next couple months, because that's just how it goes to the Brooklyn Nets. The next thing we're discussing, the next thing we're talking about is the Raptors' newest signing has been called out by Draymond Green. Now, down at the Rico Hines runs, there's been a lot of Raptors players down there. Obviously, Rico Hines is currently a coach of the Toronto Raptors, so it makes sense why our staff, our players would be down there. But you get other stars that sort of come in and out of these runs, and Draymond Green was down there working out, and he had some words for the newest Toronto Raptors signing, Gabe Brown. And I'll play it here on the screen, and you guys can see what he had to say.
You're going to make it by hustling and getting offensive rebounds, getting stops. You know what I'm saying? Gabe, I just beat you in all these sprints. And this is my first time on the court. Up and down. That's you trying to make a team. How are you going to make it? If Pascal Siakam is outrunning you, if Fred VanVleet is outrunning you, you'll never. You know what I'm saying? So we can talk IQ all we want, but at the end of the day, got to play a role in the NBA. It's 2 on the team that can do what the they want to do, and 13 other motherfuckers they got to play a role. So it's 2 on your team, whoever that is, that can do what the they want to do. Everybody else got a role, so you're going to either master your role or you're going to get the out. And it's just that simple. And running hard, 2-minute sprint, really? It's going to jog? That's bullshit. You don't work hard. And don't tell me, oh, it's just the end. Because that's the end. Playoffs. Ask them how hard it is to win a championship. The end. Why mother lose? Because they can't get to the end.
So a lot of words said there by Draymond Green. He went on a bigger rant, through that. Definitely check out the Rico Hines runs. If you haven't been watching the Rico Hines runs, watching the players talk at those, you're missing out. Rico Hines has been killing on the YouTube scene for this offseason, giving us something to watch, some basketball to watch from our favorite players. But interesting thoughts there from Draymond Green, specifically describing newest Raptors signing Gabe Brown, who is on an Exhibit 10 contract, who's working to make the roster, and this guy that I know a lot of people on this team, or a lot of Raptors fans, don't expect to make the team, expect him to more be like a 905 guy. Especially we got Juancho Hernan-Gomez, we got Svi on guaranteed deals, we have Delano, Justin Champagnie, DJ Wilson, who are a bit higher in the pecking order, more likely to get a roster spot than a Gabe Brown on one of those unguaranteed deals. However, Gabe has looked good in the runs that he's played in, these Rico Hines runs. I didn't talk about him explicitly, but, he's knocking down threes. He looks very athletic, and he's a guy that Marcel Martin, obviously Raptors Digest 11, Super Chat legend, the guy on Courtside Digest, has, raved highly about watching him in college and all that sort of stuff. But, if you're not working hard, if you're not hitting those, touching those lines, sprinting hard, beating at least Draymond Green, right? He's old. He's washed. He hasn't been running, he said in that clip, right? If you're not beating him in the sprints, then, you gotta have that mentality. And that's something the Raptors, if you want to make this team, Draymond Green's not wrong. Like, look at Rondae Hollis-Jefferson, Stanley Johnson a couple seasons ago, that 2020 year, the season following the championship. Nick Nurse was having none of Rondae or Stanley Johnson getting out there on the court because they weren't buying in, they weren't hustling, they weren't showing enough effort on the defensive end. And then, Stanley improved a little bit. Rondae Hollis-Jefferson turned into hustle man chap, really took his game to the next level and became, a staple in our rotation there, despite the fact he couldn't shoot, right? So, that's something that's essential to make this roster, and hopefully it's something that sparks Gabe Brown, right? You can have some of these moments, someone calls you out, and you just start to really lock in and focus, because it seems like the potential is there for him to be a potential piece to this Raptors organization, maybe in future seasons. So, interesting call out. Had I like Draymond Green motivating our players. Also gave some props to champions in Pascal Siakam and Fred VanVleet, who did beat Draymond Green in the NBA Finals back in 2019. So I like that he gave them credit there as champions himself. But let me know your thoughts on Draymond Green's comments in the comment section down below. But the next comments we're getting is some praise for the Toronto Raptors, and it's coming from the Washington Post, showing some love to our Raptors team. Jeff Bezos, he owns the Washington Post now, I think, or New York Times. I don't know. Not up to date on the ownership of newspapers, but this is a headline. The Raptors are a sleeping giant in the East despite a quiet off season. Now, this is from Ben Golliver, and the article, I know New York Times, the Washington Post, it's behind a paywall and stuff. You can work your ways to get around it, but he had some high praise to, and definitely support the writers, support the articles if you are interested in reading some stuff. I'm not promoting bypassing paywalls. I digress on that front, but had some interesting comments in regards to how the Raptors are sort of perceived around the league. Obviously, we didn't make a lot of moves this offseason. We were the 5th seed in the Eastern Conference last year. We were tanking the season prior, so there isn't a crazy amount of expectations this coming year. However, given the development, given the youth of our current roster, given the areas for potential improvement for a lot of these young guys, specifically brought up OG Anunoby, Gary Trent Jr., even Fred VanVleet, Pascal Siakam are coming into their own as veteran leaders, as all-star caliber guys to really lead a team, improving their leadership capabilities. Rookie of the Year, Scottie Barnes, some real question marks in terms of how Precious Achiuwa has developed this offseason, how maybe a Delano Banton, a Justin Champagnie, some of our younger guys that were, rookies, second-year players last year, could really take that leap. There's a lot of potential avenues for the Raptors to not only get better, but if a couple of things go right for us on the development front, injuries, we stay healthy, this team could be a scary, scary contender in the Eastern Conference. So, that paired along with our exquisite coaching, the addition of, I don't think he addressed the Otto Porter Jr. signing, but bringing back Thaddeus Young, bringing back Chris Boucher, adding in Otto Porter Jr., who's been an underrated signing this offseason. This team is scary to watch. Going to be scary to watch next season. And, I'm predicting top 3 seed in the Eastern Conference, and that might even be chill. That might even be a cold take from Ben Rogers. Obviously, I was saying top 4 seed last season. That was a hotter take, especially for moments of last year, but we're only 1 seed off, and I think we're going to get that prediction right coming into this year. So let me know what you guys think about this Raptors team, the avenues for growth. But the final thing we're discussing is Scottie Barnes absolutely roasting a fan of LeBron James. And I don't even want to summarize this. Obviously, Scottie Barnes is a star in this league, up and coming, but he was roasting a fan of LBJ. I'll play the clip here.
I want y'all to watch this next clip and tell me if the dick eating is crazy. Watch what the man does here now. And they went crazy. No way he's eating with the hat on. He's eating with the hat on. It's away. No, what? No, I'm in tears, bro. This guy has me dead, bro.
Move back.
Oh my God. Yo,
Shout out Scottie Barnes, man. If he ever leaves if we have anything to do with Scottie Barnes potentially leaving the Raptors, I'm not staying a fan of this team. This guy's too much of a gem. Love him roasting, obviously. Gotta have a little bit of a rivalry against a guy that used to, squash your team in the playoffs. So, he's out here roasting the fans. And shout out to Scottie. Scottie's an absolute legend. That's how I'm ending off the video. You guys are the best to make this far. Check out the Instagram, the TikTok, the Twitter, all that cool stuff. Obviously, subscribe to this channel if you haven't. But if you really want to have your daily dose of Blue Jays, you want that content to come out, you made it this far in the video, Jays Digest is going to be a channel for you to also subscribe to check out. And Nick and Josh, Nick and Peter, they've been rocking out. There's been a lot of work put into launching that channel. So I greatly appreciate you guys checking out their vid. Checking out their first vid is up. They got another one likely coming tonight. So you guys are the best. I'm signing out. Cheers.